very good afternoon to all of you and warm welcome to our webinar series Apprenticeship Dialogue, where today we'll be discussing about talent creation through degree apprenticeship. As you all know, India is primarily a education-based market than a skill-based market as compared to European countries, Japan or China, where skill and education is embedded in such a way that when the labor force go to the workplace, they are productive and skill enough to get the things done. Uh, being India being a more of an education-based market today, India has a huge skill deficit. I think this skill deficit is basically impacting the growth of the economy also. As we all know that it is not only the fiscal deficit today, the skill deficit is also one of the primary indicators how the economy will grow or how the economy growth is projected. Keeping in mind in 2020, National Education Policy came up with a credit framework which give a way by which the on-the-job training under Apprenticeship Act can be embedded with a formal education. Keeping in mind that in 2020, TeamLease decided to start a project which is called TeamLease Degree Apprenticeship. We collaborated with the Ministry of Skill Development, Entrepreneurship, Sector Skill Councils, NSDC, which is one of the important stakeholders, plus NCVT. So it's almost 2.5 years of hard work, which actually resulted in creating certain curriculums, which we call it degree apprenticeship curriculum today. So we have 4 to 5 curriculums, which is embedded with formal education, which is basically 3 years program. And we feel as an organization that embedding the formal education with on-the-job training skill, the formal education should be relevant, not like that in what we have today in colleges or schools. I think is very important. We should have a relevant curriculum with respect to industry. And that is how all these curriculums have been created and approved and now in live for organizations to take it up. To discuss the same today, we have with us two eminent industry leaders who have been successfully implementing Apprenticeship Act in the organization. Today, we have with us Mr. Gautam Saraf, who is a CHRO of Ferns and Petals. Welcome, Gautam.
Thank you, Dhriti.
Then I have with me Mr. Chacko, who is a CHRO of Infiniti Retail Ltd, which we popularly known as Croma, the electronic retail store. Thank you so much, Joe, for taking time for this discussion.
My pleasure, Dhriti.
So we'd like to start a discussion with Gautam. Gautam, I think let's go back to the fundamentals of Apprenticeship Act. You being an industry leader in HR for a long time, what prompted you to start apprenticeship program in your organization? I know you have been doing this from your previous organization and this organization also, you have implemented it. What prompted you to start the apprenticeship program?
First of all, thank you, Dhriti, for a nice welcome. Prompted, definitely, I think two things. One, definitely, we were picking up talent across the level, and considering the fact that we were hiring people across the level in terms of the very first time people who are building their career, we realized that a lot of people do not have their prior experience, right? And that's where apprentice was really helping in terms of continue to build the skill while they were doing the job. Okay, so that really became really easy. They were also apprentice also help us to attract few of the talents where they find this job more meaningful because this came as an assignment for them, and they all felt that this will give them certain certification which will help them to get much better and to learn certain skills which will help them in terms of career enhancement, and also gave certain promise that if they continue to perform well, they can be retained even in the current organization, which also gives some assurance to us that these are the people who are committed, wanted to learn, and probably would like to continue with us and also there for a longer run. So rightly, what you said, it rightly said in your initial brief about the apprentice, it helped definitely one to attract the talent, getting some increase our talent pool. Second, show them the bigger picture. So the kids who wanted to learn and had the attitude and have the learning tendency towards learning new things, I think we were able to attract those set of people. And since they see the career growth, if they complete this apprentice, and which we could do that when we are able to regularize after they completing the certification, they could see their career growth. So hence, I think the longevity in terms of the retention or in terms of the reducing our attrition numbers, that worked, I think. And obviously from a manpower budget per se, I think that also worked for us. And I think it's a win-win scenario which came up for us.
So if I summarize, Gautam, you're talking about the supply chain creation and the ROI is higher with the apprenticeship program.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I think I'll take up this question, Joe. What prompted you to start apprenticeship? I think you've been implementing this last 2 years with your present organization. What prompted that let us start the apprenticeship program in Croma?
All right. So thanks, Dhriti, for inviting me, and pleasure meeting Gautam and you and all of you for this wonderful evening on a Friday evening. Thanks for that. So this, so as you know, we are a CDCE player, consumer durables and consumer electronics player, right? We have our operations spread across India. We are a pan-India operator currently with about, close to, we will be touching 300 stores in another couple of months' time, right? And we have ambitious plans to really, make it really big by 2025. We aim to be twice our size. So, which would mean that there is a lot of people requirement that will be required, right? And where do all these people come from? So in 2018, when we did this business planning exercise, we realized that we'll be 5 times the size then, and it would mean that finding good retail talent will be necessity, right? And if we have to do that, we have to create and this industry, if you look at it, the industry is not organized, and therefore if you have to really look at it, we'll have to really start investing in people and start building those talent for our industry. So with that purpose in mind, we created this program. So it also took the shape of a CSR initiative for us. We realized that in India, the retail opportunity by 2023 will be will be about 1.3 trillion by 2030, right? And the CDE retail in India will be some 1,200,000 crores. So if you have to look at that, there is a steady requirement of people which is required, and retail obviously is not the first career option for many of the youngsters. So it has its own difficulties, right? And it's not the first option for any youngster these days. So we with this objective, we started this program, and looking at the retail, as you said, retail is a big is a big employment creator in the country, and by 2030, I think we should be seeing far more. I think the statistics say about 25 to 30 million jobs will be created, right? So where do all these workforce come from? So it's a good skill CSR initiative for us. So with this objective, we took took up this initiative, and that's where we are. So today, about 13-14% of our workforce is apprentice, is on the apprentice model.
So I think your thought process similar to what Gautam is like, creating the supply chain. I think that is because the way the market is growing with respect to the industry, I think you need the supply chain, and that you need in such a way they are productive the moment they are on the floor. Right? So yeah. So Gautam, going with the same question, Gautam, what are challenges you face? I'm sure when you introduce something new to the organization, I'm sure that there are a lot of stakeholders were involved. They have their own concerns. So how any concern from other stakeholders, because it will be fresher who doesn't have experience? The business heads have their own pressure in terms of delivering for the productivity part of it. So what are challenges you face when you implemented apprenticeship in your organization, Gautam?
I would say I was a bit lucky, but however, obviously there were a few challenges which always comes across. So anytime you introduce new kind of a practice, new set of people you would like to bring in, new processes around everything. So there was a bit of reluctance and probably inquisitiveness, I would say, that how we gonna manage so many multiple set of employment terms within the same premise. How is it going to be? Will it not become more complex for us to operate and keeping track of every set of people around? Okay. What if people started differentiating Okay, the people we take from apprentice, they start differentiating themselves from the existing manpower which are there. Okay, and hope they become part of the team. Okay, and so those were certain aspects which were there. Challenges, obviously, from aligning a stakeholder, we could really align them in terms of the merit what it was offering, so we could able to align them, get them on board. That was an easy part, honestly, because the merit was obviously higher. Yes, yes, there were certain concerns related to that. We wanted to be absolutely compliant. We also wanted to be absolutely sure that uh, we are we are we are absolutely in tandem with the rules and regulations of the establishment, which needs to be followed at all times. Okay, so we were just a bit reluctant and hesitant that hope we will not. We are in that piece. We are absolutely ticking all the boxes. But the more sensitization which we had to do is with the our store managers or the people who were supposed to manage these set of people. Okay, so that in terms of inducting them, that what set of people they would be, what are the gonna be the training process, how do we need to get them on board, and what all training programs, what are the jobs which they need to be initially taken through, so that they are really made more comfortable. They do not get hassled up with the initial chaos which normally there in the retail floors. Okay, so I think those were the key things which we have created a certain induction plan, not only for a first day or a first week. It was more for first 3 months. Okay, and then obviously keeping a regular check during our visits, during our connect, through our data. We were monitoring, okay, how well they are doing, what has been progress. I think that where we have bit of change which we have did, which worked really well. And as even the belief became better once they started seeing certain results, and seeing uh, the the hiring was happening, filling of positions was happening better, because you had suddenly increased the hiring pool, right, or talent pool, and you were able to fill in the positions much faster comparatively before. Okay, and they could see the various benefits into that. So whether it's the business growth, whether it's terms of retention, whether it's the improvement in the customer metrics, so that all helped altogether, I think.
Okay, great. I think I'll take up the same question, Joe. I'm sure you are large in terms of like the scale and the kind of you scattered pan India, right? So I'm sure you have different stakeholders, like Gautam is sitting here, different stakeholders. I'm sure when you introduce something to a Tata Group entity, right, you have different checks and balances. What are the challenges you face from internal stakeholders, and how you took it up to challenges?
Right. So I think the challenges that Gotham enlisted was bang on. I think that's I realized, okay, it's a retail industry challenge now, is what I think. Because the initial challenge was to get this concept across to the operating managers, right? Because operating manager to whom you go and tell that there's an apprentice that you take, and the person will be there for a year, and after that 1 year completion, you never know whether the person is going to come to you or to somewhere else, or the person is going to leave. As far as any operating manager is concerned, and who is looking at building a strong team, that's a big that will be a big no, right? That it will not be received it will not be accepted that easily, right? So that was the first challenge that we had to solve, right? So that's one. I think how we solved this challenge was making sure that, okay, the store managers, about 90-95% of our workforce is the stores, right? So that's where most of our apprentices today work, right? And if when the store managers started seeing the bigger picture about the CSR and the giving back to the society, they looked at this as a little bit more. They started accepting it, but not before they started seeing many other advantages, right? So they started seeing that, okay, the apprentice, in the mindset that we have is freshers means they are not productive, right? That, I think, with the initial level of training and with the initial level of selection process and the training process that we had, I think we cracked that to a great extent. Making sure that, okay, and we measure the productivity of people who are hired laterally, as well as people who are through the apprentice scheme, and we found that in about 4-5 months time, the level of productivity of a lateral recruit to a apprentice is equal, right? And when we shared that data, and when people started appreciating that data, is when the acceptance started coming in. So if you look at the key matrices of retail, which is, the NPS score is one of the good matrices to look at. Our apprentices today have NPS scores as good as any other experienced employee. Or if you look at the sales productivity, although we are not looking at sales as the only reason, right? We are looking at customer engagement and the ability to engage with the customer, and provide an experience is what we are looking at, and that's what our training programs are all about. But sales productivity, I think, has been more or less been the same. I think our apprentices are about 85% as productive in about 6 months time, is what our data says. So I think with these things, I think the entire picture towards the apprentice, or the view with which we saw apprentice, started changing, and people started accepting apprentice as a welcome thing, because it also helps to reduce the store profitability, right? So after that, there is much more acceptance to the program.
So basically, the outcome, once the managers see the outcome happening, I think they started adapting it, right? That is,
yes,
outcome is
yes,
very important.
Right. And the second challenge, I think, is is one of the, it's still a challenge that I would say is about the apprentices, the ability to engage with the customers, right? These are freshers. So so what we see is that in about 6 months time, if the person has the confidence to engage with the customer, that person sticks on. Otherwise, we see an early attrition happening. So breaking that is a challenge at the moment, is what we are seeing.
So, Joe, in terms of the attrition, I'm sure as you said, initial days, the initial months, if somebody doesn't adapt, then he move out. What is the percentage of attrition when you talk about apprentices?
See, we measure our attrition with with every month, right? So what we see is that, okay, our overall attrition in this program is about 25 to 30%. That's the so people who attrit within 12 months of the program is about 25 to 30%, but about 50% of them, of the people who attrit, take a decision in 4 months time, is what we see, right? So that's the level of attrition that we see.
Okay, Gautam, what is the attrition level you have in terms of the apprentices you have in your organization?
So if I have to talk about my previous organization, where 24/7, which was operating 24 hours, okay, and the operating condition also was far difficult, considering the fact that it was 24 hours, odd shift hours, okay, and so their attrition, when we were doing it at 3% monthly, but however, initially we were started on 4.5, but then moved to around 3 to close to 2.8 what we were doing it. So there was good progress which we were making it. But I would say there was also other factors which were also played in terms of the various activities, in terms of capability building, in terms of the culture building, which we did, and the close monitoring of people, managing people queries and all this stuff. I think that worked really well for us. So it's a mix of various things. A lot of times, see, in the retail is the attrition leads the reason of attritions are very spontaneous, right? So I'll tell you one very live example, that there are peak seasons, okay, and I do not have enough staff which is there to support the business, right? And then what happens is we experience certain set of people which are there in existing setup. They end up stretching themselves to meet the needs, okay, to serve the customers. And if it continued to for a while, okay, that leads to an attrition. Okay, for me, I think with the help of apprentice, I was able to fill in those positions. Those set of cases never came in. Okay, that helped me to cater those real-time attritions, which was related to work pressure, related to overloads, okay, related to stretching themselves beyond certain work hours, okay, and on regular basis, that reduced significantly. My overtime expenses went down significantly. Okay, people started becoming more focused towards customer metrics, okay, rather than more focused towards the transactions or completing the transaction. I think those all things made a huge difference. Okay.
Okay. So Gautam, so going back to your McDonald's days, right? We have been discussing that. So let us go. Let us discuss now that the agenda of the discussion is degree apprenticeship, right? Where we give a formal education, opportunity for the apprentices, where they can do the on-the-job training, and plus they get opportunity to work as a with the formal education environment which is there. So if you can take us through your thought process from McDonald's days and now today, which is something which is really now a program which is now with the government, right? I'm sure you're talking about that somebody getting education while he is working. Now with the degree apprenticeship is almost similar. So maybe you can share some thought on this, then I'll go to Joe on this.
Okay, so for me, I think I would not only say McDonald's, any QSR or a retail organization. Okay, if you look at the what I've said of people or workforce which enters to this kind of industry, they're all the people who are who are who have to support their family in a very early age. Okay, and which also means that a lot of kids who are very bright in in their studies or academic, but they could not continue just because of certain financial uh, what do you call responsibilities they do have against the family, and then they end up into the professional world much earlier. Okay, so if you look at the average age of the any QSR or retail brand is between 21 to 23. Okay, which is a very young age comparatively even to manufacturing industry, right? And the reason to that is that they see that it is most easy form of getting a job opportunity and able to support their families. But what they in against that, what they end up compromising is their education. Okay, a long-term career where they can build their skill, where they can able to fetch a good job opportunity, a good career, and where they can understand. Okay, and not many organized retail, okay, still able to give them the great career path just because they do not have those educations background or they do not have minimum requisite to become take a certain leadership role. Okay, they have learned all the skill set in terms of they have become proficient in doing what they are managing in terms of transaction, but when it comes to the managerial skills, supervisory skills, it also has to do with certain education because it requires certain uh, um, calculations and certain understanding certain
Fundamentals, basically.
fundamentals related to the business, and that also helps, that also comes with a certain education, right? Degree helps in that. Okay, any education, if it's related to that subject, okay, that will definitely add on, and it also elevates their self-esteem. Okay, I'm telling you, in our QSR, even if we end up attracting a good kid, okay, for a part-time job, they end up leaving us, and 10 to 20% of kids end up leaving because of further education, because their financial situation in the family has got stabilized. They feel that they had not pursued their education because of that reason. They would like to now start their further education now, and because of that they say that, sir, let us go and let us continue our further education. I think if this is the model where they have already invested 2 years and 3 years in the retail as a sector, and now they feel that they will get an opportunity to complete their further education or higher studies with continuing their job, okay, it will only fast track their career to the next level much faster. Just imagine that as an organization, I know that person, this kiddo is fairly committed, okay, in what he's doing, and he's very proficient in what job he's doing, and he's also committed to learn new things, and he's pursuing education. That itself changed the outlook how we perceive that person is. Okay, and we find him more sincere, find him more dedicated, committed towards his own growth. He's ambitious, and automatically he becomes a fairly fit person or a desired person for the next role. Okay, and it become an incentive for an organization to have those set of people into the supervisory role because that person is going to spend certain time and able to continue with us and then able to elevate to the next role. And obviously, being there and then grown and taken a larger role, larger as a supervisory role, he will be able to do much better job comparatively any person coming it from the outside as a supervisor, right? So it's a fairly interesting win-win. Again, I would say we have done it previously also in various forms, like in our previous organization, all like whether it's VFS, whether it's Yum during Yum days or McDonald's, we have done various kind of programs. Whether we have also participated in IGNO retail program, which was there, okay, where a lot of kids who wanted to further completed their graduation, we had enrolled with the IGNO, and then we said that why don't you complete your graduation while you're working with us. A lot of kids have enrolled in that, and I think they have successfully completed, taken up the higher roles because they have completed the graduations and they were able to complete those assignments. I think with this apprentice, with the degree program, I think that should definitely help and attract more talent in the
So do you
similar
also
space.
think, Gautam, that this will help the industry as a whole to reduce the attrition and attract the talent for apprenticeship also? Because getting talent sometime as an apprentice is also a challenge, right? Which we all have seen, right? When you go and tell someone you're an apprentice or an employee, I think you like to choose employment rather apprentice until we explain him the benefit of being an apprentice. Do you think that embedding the formal education, which is like related to the industry, embedded with OGT, can reduce the attrition and actually attract a lot of talent for the organization?
It would, till the time we complete. If as an organization I completely mean it, okay, I have to really give them that exposure in terms of to complete that OJT so that he can acquire that skill. At the same time, give that time to acquire that so that he can also dedicate his time to study and actually learn whatever degree he's pursuing along with apprentice. So it has to be a support rather than support and also building his skill both.
Sure. I think I'll take up the same question, Joe. So I think you started the degree apprenticeship, right? So what is your thought on degree apprenticeship? How are you going to benefit the industry, Croma, and apprentices?
The dichotomy here, Dhriti, is that while we have this kind of a population, we are about 1.4 billion people, and and if you look at the number of people who are ready to take up the employability of these the workforce that we have, of the people who are coming out of our schools and colleges, I think it's far lower, right? The skill levels are far lower, right? And therefore, this particular thing, how it will benefit us in terms of maybe looking at when there are industries participating in these degree programs, right? And there are industry specific curriculums that is being taught at schools and colleges. I think it becomes far more relevant for the industry itself, right? One, it helps in aligning what is required of the industry, the skill sets that are required for the industry, and then the academia taking up that and then making sure that, okay, that's in a way built in the students that are coming out of the institutes. I think that's a far high benefit that we see in the economy itself, right? So our labor participation can go up significantly because of this, right? And with the Make in India thrust that our government is having, I think many of these sectors, right, not only the manufacturing sector, but the other sectors as well will see a lot of thrust in this, right? So it will really help in the way that we our industry participates in building the skills right at the formative years is what I think. So I think that is one. The other aspect is about maybe in terms of how the point that Gautam mentioned is very relevant. I think today the kind of kids who are coming in, they're unsure whether they want to pursue a career in retail, right? And by having a program which is embedded, I think it would give them the, the focus and the, and the kind of dedication required to complete the program, right? So which would mean that, okay, the industry benefits, so if there is a kid who is coming into the industry, the person is there for 3 years till the completion of the program. I think the industry benefits, the kid also benefits, right? And then the aspect that Gautam mentioned about the career growth and the career enhancement that subsequently the individual can experience, I think it's far higher when the person is coming with full focus and saying that, okay, yeah, this is the place to be, and I want to make a career in retail. I think it's far better situation than what it was earlier.
So one question, maybe a thought, Joe. When they become when they complete the graduation program with all the skills which is required in 3 years OGT, which they'll do in the stores, they become employable, right? And sometimes there's a discussion going on that if they become employable, right, the competition may take up. So how do you retain those people who, once they become graduate, because you will not have sufficient requirement that point of time, may not have, because you have 500 to 600 graduate apprentices who completing in 3 years. So what is your thought, how to retain the best and how to do the assessment of those? So what's your thought on
this? So I think, while we should encourage attrition, because it's people are going for higher opportunities. So if there is something that you cannot provide a higher opportunity or a career growth, it's only fair that the person looks at outside and starts experiencing it. But that said, I think the pressure on the employers will be to create that kind of experiences, right? That kind of opportunities for the individuals, and to say that, okay, how is it that the person could be, so when creating those learning experiences at those stages become very critical, therefore, and making sure that, okay, once the person does it, there is a formal, there is a good method of rewards and recognizing and compensating the individual as per the market is also very critical, critical to make sure that, okay, the retention happens, right? So that's the second aspect. And the third aspect is providing the kind of the right kind of input for and enabling them to look at what are the career opportunities that they can look at. So somebody who wants to make a career in maybe a specialized field such as a merchandising or in a buying function, why not look at that and encourage people to develop those skills on the job? Then the person knows that, okay, I have a future in a career here. Retention happens, right? So so that's the real way to retain people, is what we believe.
Yeah, it's more like succession plan. At the moment they join, the first year, maybe first month or first day of the month when they started the apprenticeship program, I think a succession plan, which maybe every 6 months, how they move and how they complete and what they can be, I think is very important.
So I think the career conversation itself, a good career conversation periodically, at least once a year, right, will help. Yeah,
correct. So with respect to your apprentices, right, you have a good amount of people as an apprentice. How many people have been absorbed or have been taken as an employment, which you're in an organization, maybe a staffing, maybe third-party employment, or maybe of employment directly with Croma? What's the percentage of people who move from apprenticeship to formal employment?
See, when we started off in 2018, we started with small numbers, right? And we today we are touching about some 13% of the workforce, as what I had mentioned earlier. So of the people who have completed, we are on an expansion mode, and we are in a state to provide opportunities for all the people, right? So we see that, okay, about 85% plus people have opted to join us rather than go outside. And that's very encouraging sign, because they have experienced the culture and they've seen that, okay, this is a good place, and they know the place, right? And they see that, okay, there can be a meaningful career built here, And that is the reason why many of them stay back with us, right? So that's a very encouraging result. We did a deep dive into the 15% who don't opt for us, right? Either it could be because of locational constraint or because they are getting a far higher opportunities, or the reasons that a good number of them want to pursue a higher education and they want to leave because that's very important. They see that as something which will help shape their careers in the future. So that's the reason why the 15%, but 85% plus is a very good absorption ratio.
Yeah, I think it's very encouraging, right? So Gautam, coming with the same question, what's the absorption rate from apprentice to employment in your organization?
See, honestly, if I end up having if my apprentice remain to there throughout, okay, I would not like them to go any one of them, right? Because first of all, the retail has always gone through a higher attrition numbers. If the people have end up experiencing for probably, if I have a person who's experienced for 2 years, 1.5 years and completed their apprentice program, I would definitely love to. I think all of them, I think, if until they have not left in between the program of apprentice, all of them have been absorbed within the organization. See, it works. It works both ways, as rightly said by Joe, right? And they have understood our culture. They've understood our process. They know they are actually themselves seeing themselves in higher positions, higher role, playing a larger responsibility in the organization or in the store. Okay, so and it becomes much better for us to bring them in, give them a they are more excited. We see them are more charged up in terms of taking a larger roles and doing it. So absorption rate has never been a challenge. I think we are most welcome. We announce them much ahead that moment you complete your apprentice program, we will be absorbing you. This is your compensation, what it would be. I hope this gets suffice. I think people are excitedly taking up those assignments. There are some kids who are actually expressing certain other desires to switch on their careers. We are also exploring those. Okay. And if not, we also giving them those clarity that, okay, let's complete this amount of tenure so that you build this expertise by this time, and then we explore for some other IJP roles which are there in different functions, whether it's merchandise, whether it's buying, whether it's procurement, whether it's supply chain, any other function. And that has worked beautifully. See, if the person has worked in the operations, he can be a really great fit in all these support functions, just because their understanding about the business is very high and their inputs, their insights are very interesting. Okay, and they are more closer to the customer, so it works. But one thing which I definitely one of the point which I wanted to mention is that, see, if you look at the existing education system, we have always been struggled. We have never made a talent education has never made people employable to certain industry, right? What apprentice is doing, you're actually making a person relevant to that industry and trying to build a skill set where he can become more expert. Okay, and and I think that relevance is actually where we are valuing, and the employee himself who's actually being part of the apprentice, he also see that value. Okay, because he see that has been remain invested in him, and he is also learning and building his own skill, so he see a merit, and both of them are actually looking at a better opportunity, uh, are already committed for a better opportunity for the candidate. So that's how it works, I think. And a lot of times we have even some of the places where we have introduced as apprentice, we have told them, once you completed certain apprentice programs successfully and your performance has been at a satisfactory above level, you will be offered this role.
Correct.
Okay, that has worked tremendously well for us.
So Gautam, when you talk about the degree apprenticeship, we talk about the good part of, okay, the supply chain, the productivity part of it. As an industry leader, what are challenges you see? Is a new product in the market, or you can new concept in the market, which is like embedded with OGT, formal learning through an online model? I'm sure there are challenges which we may foresee in coming time, but what do you think? What are the challenges we may face so that we get prepared ourselves and then we overcome those challenges?
See, we are moving away from the conventional way of education. Yeah, it's something. It's like the debate between the homeschooling and the regular schooling. It's about going to a quota for an IT preparation versus doing it here. Okay, so it will take its own time. It will take its own. We'll have to create a lot of success stories around and showcase those various success stories to various education institutes or to the places where this kids come from. Okay, and where they also get tempted to experience this kind of uh, uh, what do you call program to they would like to get themselves enrolled, right? So I think I remember that during our college, we used to go and pick up certain side jobs, okay, just to experience in the professional networks, right? How does the entire ecosystem work? Okay, what we all missing which we are not learning in the education system, right? Through our lectures or the curriculums which we are exposed to, and that was a great insight. And I think this is a ready-made what do you call platter for them to making them more skilled, making them more smarter, making them preparing them to become a better professional tomorrow, understand about various dynamics about how the entire ecosystem works of the industry, right? So I think in the early age we are shaping up a lot of mind. Challenges, definitely it will take a while, because kids are always going to compare with the full-time, part-time. How much as an industry we're going to appreciate this? Okay, so in the resume, if I comes a candidate, okay, will I going to differentiate the candidate because he's done a part-time learning or of graduation versus a full-time,
Or a
and
degree.
or a degree apprentice, right? If I would, as an HR head, if I would stop doing that and I would more focus on the skill, what is the outcome, what has been the learning, what all the experience he has done, what are the skill set he has learned during, how has been the experience, okay, what has been the life skill, what do you call it, yeah, life skills which he has learned from those experiences of 3 years. I think that will bring a lot of change, that confidence. So like for example, COVID has made us learn that work from is okay, work from anywhere is okay, if there are career gaps it's okay, right? People, um, female taking a maternity breaks, and even after that they are continue wanted to further and they want to rejoin the profession, it is absolutely okay. So that has been acceptance. I'm sure this is this time to come, people will also start to accept, but challenge is definitely going to be there. There will be small innovations initially which we all have to um, market it right with a lot of success stories.
I think all the stakeholders need to come together and take it up.
Yeah, yeah.
Joe, the same thing. What are challenges you foresee? We're just starting the initial steps, right? What are challenges you foresee in scaling up or in promoting degree apprenticeship, which is like embedded with an online model, not going to a university, which are physical classrooms? How going to attract the talent and all those things?
So one, I think it's is the availability, right? So any pan India retail or a pan organizations having a pan India operation will require this workforce to be spread across. So that's going to be the first thing that we need to solve, right? So that's one. The second, I think, is something which is solvable is in terms of, how do you recognize these kids who are coming out of these programs, right? How do you treat them? And very aptly said by Gautam, I think it's for us to solve by creating more opportunities for them or equal opportunities for them. I'm not saying that, okay, you provide them with the equal a level playing field as far as some of these things are concerned, right? And create those opportunities and make that a success, right? And when you have this model successful, there will be more such embedded programs which will come in and which will contribute overall to the success of the skill building initiative and to to the industry as such. I think that's the win-win for everybody, is what I think. So I think this would be my take, Dhriti. Yeah.
Sure. So I think this discussion, actually we take it up to social media where a lot of kids also go through that. So Joe, what is your hiring trend looking like for the festival season starting? What's the hiring trend looking like? How many people you're going to hire, maybe in percentage? Wow. Because this is a time, right? Big time to hire people, right? As an
Yeah,
apprentice or
festive.
employee.
Yeah, festive season. Yes, it is a big time. So in every in our operation, we are at least looking at a 25% ramp up. So because there are the walk-ins will be very high, and even in our back-end operation, for the home deliveries and for the logistics part of it, it will have a cascading effect on all the operation, right? So that's going to be the increase.
Yeah, the numbers are looking promising this year also. Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So Gautam, what is your hiring trend looking like for next 2 to 3 months time, or maybe till December?
No, I think it's looking very encouraging. I think from the beginning of this financial year itself, I think the e-commerce has been very promising for us, whether it's supply chain, whether it's our captive center, whether it's entire category, all the verticals of those. I think we've seen good spike. Okay, we've been continuing to see the 30% growth year on year. So with that growth, I think similar growth we are looking at the manpower requirement also.
Great. So I think this is whenever we do webinar, we have this discussion with our speakers. So anything you want to put it to the stakeholders like ministry or the sector skill council, because when we talk about apprenticeship, people talk, oh, it's very compliance, not a lot of compliances is required, all those things. So let us avoid, right? So any input or anything you put it up here to the stakeholders so that we can take it up, because we closely work with a lot of stakeholders and we share our inputs very regularly with all the stakeholders like ministry, the NCVT and sector skill council. So any input, Gautam, from your side?
No, I think honestly, we always have avoided apprentice initially, even if we have been retail for a while. Okay, the major reason has been the complexity in terms of managing the compliance. Okay, it has been always one of the deterrent for us. Okay, but however, of late we have seen last 4 years, we have seen that there is a lot of new policies has been framed. There's a lot of focus which has been there by the Ministry of Labor and the partners like you and various others, where they have able to influence some of the great leaders to make it more simpler, make it more industry friendlier. For us, I think that has been a great move. And also I think we have been partnered with you for last 3-4 years in various forms and various, I think that has helped. I think that has taken away those worries. So for me, as of now, we have not experienced those early inhibitions which we had related to the compliances. But I think operationally, it is as similar to hiring any third-party payroll staffs around versus what we are doing with the apprentice. I think most of the compliances aspect is being taken care by you. Also, I think I liked that the time-to-time guidance in terms of the corrective actions which needs to be taken in terms of the helping us in terms of finding the staffing. I think that also has been a great assistance, I think.
Joe, any input from your side which we can put it to the stakeholders on regular intervals? Anything from your side? Any input on this?
All right. So I think the first part is about yes, compliance is, as far as apprentices are concerned, the government has made things very simple. I think one real big advantage or the welcome change has been the way the entire system has been developed. Has been digitized, and I think the ease of mapping and that entire piece, you want to source candidate, you want to pay candidate, you want to certify candidate, everything has been digitized. So I think that's the level of technology which has crept into the system. I think very, very encouraging. So anybody who wants to, any industry who wants to, even a small time company who wants to do it, should not be finding it very cumbersome to do it. And the government has anyway specified that the apprentice is not a workman. So you don't give the same, the many of the acts that apply to the workman doesn't apply, right? So that's another big reason why industry should get more apprentices here.
So you're talking about the leaner compliances part of it, right?
That's the leaner compliances. And as far as the other compliances are concerned, I think we find it easy to manage with good partners like you need to have a good partner who can manage those compliances for you. I think with the right partner, it becomes, things become much simpler, and you can start focusing on the scale up rather than on the compliance part.
So
I think that's more relevant. No, to keep scaling up your operation is more relevant than managing the day-to-day distractions.
the operation part of it, correct. So I think I'll take up one more question, maybe then we go to a couple of questions from the guest. So Joe, I'll take up this question with you. Now you see very often a lot of skills universities coming in, right? I think we're the first skill university. Now we have many skills universities coming in. How do you see the future of skills university in India as compared to the traditional universities?
Yeah, I think it's wonderful. And I personally feel that India is set to go the way Germany and Korea has gone, right? In terms of their skill building, what they have done, and how they have made the students aligned to the industry requirements, right? And that's been the success of these two countries, and many other countries have followed it, right? So I think it's a very good move to initiate something of this sort.
Today the formal universities, like today the skill university going forward will compete with Delhi University or like this kind of central universities. What is your thought on this?
I think it's good. I think it's breaking away from the convention, it will certainly make people. So the success is what is the level of absorptions that we can have in this. So that's going to be the measure of success, one of the measure of success. And second is how have kids progressed in their career, right? So till the first 3-4 years, yes, people are waiting and watching, and there are some of these kids who have taken the plunge in terms of the first movers is what we should call them, right? And I think the success all depends on how the industry takes this, right? And if we can make it a success, then there are a lot many success stories that will follow.
So I think the formal universities, the kind of universities we have for so many years, and the skill universities, I think industry will play a very important role for the skill universities to become very successful, because
Correct.
Until you have those tie-ups with the establishments, organization, I think then it will not suffice the real purpose of skill university. Correct.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So Gautam, what is your thought on the skill university? Now, every couple of months we see a skill university getting open in different states. So how do you see this as compared to the formal university?
Good to see, I think. Good to see so many skill universities coming in. They are more relevant. They are very objective oriented in terms of where anyone who's aspiring to become this and wanted to acquire this skill, he can actually get enrolled himself and get into pursue into this career. I think for me, I think it's a very objective driven education which is happening. I think it meets the career aspiration. It is not a very generic learning and where a kid has to figure out himself that where he goes and where he has to experiment, that where he can explore which industry where he can build his career, right? I think these are good. These are evolution which is happening based on the industry demands, needs, which has been there, which has been a short supply, or where the education system themselves were not able to meet the demand of the industry with what they will do. I think for me, this is also apprentice is also, I look at as a parallel system, very similar to whatever skill university which has been coming. Okay. And I think we are also picking up similar kind of industry where we feel that apprentice can actually cater to that. And I think, so I personally feel it's a very, very progressive thing to happen. Rightly said by Joe that, yeah, there has to be some kind of acceptance which needs to be, it will take a while in terms of acceptance, but then the kind of success stories we create, the kind of absorption rate, the kind of placement they get, and the kind of the career growth they will able to bring them, which they will able to build for themselves. I think that will bring a lot of attraction there. I think.
Great. I think we have 4 minutes left. We'll take up a couple of questions. Maybe I'll start with Gautam. Gautam, there's one question says under retail, the attrition is high. So in that case, what happened to the apprentices who are deployed under degree apprenticeship and who paid? Basically, the question is like, who paid the course fee for the degree apprenticeship? How the industry is taking up because there's a course fee attached to it, right? When you get enrolled in a university program. So who take up this cost? It is apprentice or it's like shared between. So I think if you can take it up this particular thing, the best
Okay,
way.
honestly, I think for us, it was a very CSR activity. We were promoting people to really take up their education very seriously, right? So what we said that we will sponsor it, okay? So the moment so for us, we wanted to, and at the same time, we wanted to set an accountability and ownership to them so that they take that seriously, study it there seriously. Okay, so what we did, we asked them to pay the fees, and if they're able to and pass their first year or a semester completely, we were ensure the certificate, we were reimbursing them back. So it's kind of a reward, and we were doubling that piece for them.
Great. So Joe, what is your thought in terms of like how the course fee should be, whether the employer paid a course fee or like it is paid by the apprentice or a shared cost?
I think what, in my view, I think my personal view is that the person should pay for his or her fee, right? Only then the seriousness of that comes in, right? If I'm paying my fee all by myself, then I'm committed to the program. If somebody else is paying for it, then maybe my commitment levels, not everybody is the same, right? Maybe my commitment levels go down, and tomorrow there is a possibility that I don't see value in this, and then I can quit, right? Because it's not been paid by me. So my personal take is that, okay, one should fund himself or herself. But as far as the program is concerned, I think the concept that Gautam mentioned is very relevant. I think at the end of the program, yeah, if on successful completion, if the employer wants to reward that, I think that's a good move. And the person knows that, okay, there is one lump sum amount waiting at the end of the course on successful completion, right? There is something waiting, and that can be a good incentive for the person to work hard, to study hard, and to make sure that, okay, the reimbursements from the employer is
Correct. I think that's the ideal way, because that is how, if you see the US, like the education ecosystem in US today are in a huge burden, because it was not sponsored by most of the cost is basically paid by the government, right? I think eventually, until you pay the money, I think you're not serious about it. I think that is right. So there's another question, and maybe Joe, you can take it up. What kind of mindset or qualities are looked at, and basically what kind of qualities you look for when you hire an apprentice? The theory, basically the soft skill part of it. So what are the qualities you look for, or your managers look for when they hire an apprentice?
See, what we'll look at is two qualities. One is the ability of the person to learn, right? So because there is in our industry there are various products that the person needs to know about, right? Somebody who's in a mobile category need to know about what the mobile is about, what what a 5G or a 4G represents, and then the features of each of the mobile, right? What iPhone brings and what maybe a Redmi brings in, or so there are product features, there are technology features which are actually which the person needs to learn. So learnability is a very, very important aspect, and more so because the technology changes, the product changes, the features changes. There are new brands that get introduced, and therefore it becomes very relevant. So that's one aspect that we really look for. The second aspect that we really look for is how the person is, in terms of customer engagement, right? What is the ability of the person to engage the customer in a meaningful conversation. And if the person is able to, is speaking about cricket, right? The customer is speaking about cricket. The person should be in a position to really pick on that and have a conversation with it. It need not be all about 4G and 5G and the feature of the phone, etc. But ability to converse beyond that, right? That is important. Not that the product feature or the technology features are less important, but engaging with the customer beyond that. I think this would be the real two things that we look forward.
Okay, great. I think Gautam, last question. What are the things we should do to promote degree apprenticeship? I think this is a question from one of the audience.
I think we've spoken around. I think the organization like Croma, okay, taking itself is a great testimony of that, how good this program, how beneficial it is. Okay, engaging right organization, having right organization, and probably backed by such a large organization, it will always help you to set credibility and encourage other organizations also to try and experiment. Right. I think, and obviously, I think we all need to do ensure that, as I rightly said, we have to talk about this. What are the advantages and what are the merits for the business and from the talent pool what we hire for. Okay, I think there are many advantages what I see normally. I think adaptation by whichever organization who are adapting, if they can just share this kind of merit, I think it will happen. Couple of other things, there are various forums of the HR Connect which is happening. If we continue to talk about there, if we continue to mention about the advantages of it, I think it will just happen. So I think ministry also can play a good role. If we can,
I think ministry should play a very important role here. But Gautam, when you talk about going to the grassroots level where you talk about schools and colleges, today they know, okay, once someone move out of 12 here option, either he go for a formal education, or that is the only option here, he be engineer or doctor. But I think today, if we get a situation where, okay, let me degree apprentice, I think that is how I think it will be better success when you go to grassroots level and talking about and convincing the schools and colleges to adopt this.
I agree. I think that will definitely make a lot of difference. But I think as an organization also, I have to be very, very committed about this program. Okay, if I can really show a great career path from the initial itself to the apprentice whom I'm hiring, and give him the larger picture that after 4 years, or after 3 years, or after 5 years, this is what you can become. Okay, these are the roles which you can take over. Okay, I think that will be more powerful for me too. That will be more powerful. That's one. Second, how? I think that's where I will be able to attract more set of people, aspire more people to take this plunge versus a normal regular program, right? I think the moment we see everyone see a larger, this is one of the ways to enter into this career or in this industry and build their career. I think, and these are the means and ways. Okay, like for example, a lot of people who aspire to do hotel management, wanted to aspire, they build their career in hotels, they pick up a hotel management, like the engineers. So let's say that if we want to aspire to become a good in the retail sector, why not apprentice becomes? Why not the manufacturing people who may not have a post-graduation degree, but they want to aspire, move into they have only schooling and they have wanted to aspire and wanted to start their careers early, they can pick up these apprentice program to accelerate their career. Okay, rather than just taking a graduation and then after that they're starting their career.
Sure. I think we have a couple of questions which I'll packet to you offline. Maybe I take your input and put it to the audience, maybe in a social platform. Thank you so much, Gautam. Thank you so much, Joe, for taking out time for this discussion. It was great interacting with you guys. And I think the inputs which have been shared from your side will make a lot of sense for the people.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Joe. Thank you so much. Take care.
Thanks, Gautam.